we knew. We said it. We've been saying it,
Yeah.
but it's always good to see the snowball rolling down the hill for ATF malfeasance, and boy, is the snowball getting big. We are the Armed Attorneys. Today we are talking about a letter recently issued by Sig Sauer regarding their resuming sales of stabilizing braces for pistols. We're going to talk through what's going on, who it affects, who it doesn't affect, and stick around till the end because Richard has a very interesting theory on a 3-part way the ATF is really trying to screw over the American people. Before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button. And today's episode is brought to you by Aura.
And so I think this is good news for gun owners, and SIG is standing behind their products when it comes to arm braces. Now, the ATF, I don't think it's a flaw. I think it's a feature that they like creating some administrative confusion, especially when it comes to the final rule on stabilizing braces. Just as a recap where we are today, we have a preliminary injunction enjoining nationwide the federal government from treating arm braces effectively as stocks.
Mhm.
Now, I think that there's some hesitation by retailers out there and maybe other folks in the industry to maybe not want to load up on inventory when it comes to these things, because what if the rule changes tomorrow?
Right.
Well, SIG has answered to that.
Right. And actually, I mean, although no one's consulted us yet, but we've actually talked to some other firearm lawyers who have been asked by FFL dealers, hey, is it okay if we sell these items? And I mean, the answer is legally, yes, absolutely. But I think there is a practical concern, which is what SIG has recently addressed in a letter to dealers. So do we want to put this up and address it?
Yeah, let's talk about it. So it says, as you may be aware, Sig Sauer recently restarted sales of select firearm equipped with stabilizing braces. Given the shifting landscape surrounding these products, Sig Sauer will provide our wholesale purchasers, distributors, and dealers an additional level of confidence by extending return terms on sales of firearms equipped with stabilizing braces.
They continue, in the event the legal status of stabilizing braces changes, Sig Sauer will fully refund purchases and retake possession of all unsold products ordered within 120 days prior to such change. In the event a return and refund is not permissible by law, Sig Sauer will provide wholesale purchasers the option of exchanging the stabilizing brace for a permissible, compatible stock. Sincerely, Sig Sauer. What does this say to you about Sig's opinion?
Yeah, they think that the final rule on stabilizing braces, that ain't coming back.
We live in a capitalistic country, which I believe is a very good thing, in contrast to like a lot of the Americans out there, which is bizarre because it's done pretty well by us so far. But, in our system, we don't just, I don't know, altruistically throw money away when we're gigantic companies. And SIG is not going to do that. I mean, I think they feel pretty safe that they're not going to have to retake possession of all these items in order to issue this very sweeping letter. And I think it's good because if FFL dealers are already reaching out to lawyers like, hey, is this okay? They're worried about the law, but I'm certain they're also worried about like what happens if I have possession of all this stock, not just legally, but what if I lose my money? And I think just like getting rid of that kind of stock isn't cheap.
No.
Well, you know what else isn't cheap? Identity theft.
In 2022, the US FTC reported that Americans lost $8.8 billion to identity theft and fraud, a 49% increase over 2021. But you can protect yourself for a fraction of the cost. That's why I'm excited to tell you about today's sponsor, Aura. You've heard me tell this story before. I tried it out for myself. I Googled one of my sister's phone numbers and immediately found her home address, which is pretty scary because she has her information hidden by law because she's a former felony prosecutor.
That's where Aura comes in. Aura has almost every internet safety tool you'll ever need all inside one app. Aura's app features a VPN, password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. And on top of data breach notifications, Aura proactively identifies data brokers exposing your information on the web and automatically submits opt-out requests on your behalf. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists.
Let Aura do the hard work of keeping you safe online. If you sign up right now, Aura will give you a 2-week free trial with our link. Go to aura.com/armedattorneys or check it out, linked in the description below. And so, talking about, I think this is a big insurance policy for all these potential dealers and distributors who want to fire back up the printing presses. We want to get arm braces back on the market. I mean, folks want these things.
Yes. And I mean, SIG is not did not make this decision in a vacuum, right?
No.
They've got attorneys who are advising them. They're looking at, the risk benefit. And I think it's, it's a good thing for Sig. Hopefully they can sell more arm braces. It's a good thing for FFL dealers because those retailers do not want to be left holding the bag. And it's good for us because it's just further confirmation that that this rule is going down, which we knew. I mean, we knew. We said it. We've been saying it,
Yeah.
but it's always good to see the snowball rolling down the hill for ATF malfeasance. And boy, is the snowball getting big.
And so what is SIG banking on? Well, right now we're under that preliminary injunction status. They're banking on that we get a final and permanent injunction against the ATF and the Department of Justice from enforcing this rule. Now, a question that has come up, and I don't know that it has been, we've talked about it a little bit, but I want to make a really clear response to the question of what would stop the ATF and really what the court ruled on this case is that it was a violation of the Administrative Procedures Act. They filed one rule, and then whenever they published the final rule, it was almost like a bait and switch. They changed the substance of the rule so much that it violated the Administrative Procedures Act. That's
Right.
what they're hanging their hat
We
on.
didn't get notice of what the final rule was going to be. You
Right.
have to have a notice and comment period. The allegation is we did not get proper notice. So, yeah, this is, I mean, the important part of what Richard's saying is this was not decided on Second Amendment grounds.
Right.
And so even if, I mean, my goodness, I think the most logical thing for the ATF to do,
Yeah, this is the question that needs to get answered.
yes, is they give us a different rule proposed the way they're supposed to that mirrors what the current final rule is. They do the notice and comment period. The final rule is what the proposed rule was. And then they haven't violated the APA. And then what? And they've mooted the case, potentially.
Yeah. Well, and can I put on my deep space? This is where the rule's going to go.
Please.
All right. I mean, I could go completely schizo on where I think this is going to go, but we get the identical rule. It gets invalidated because of the tax waiver portion, not Second Amendment grounds.
Yeah.
Boom. Fast forward 8 more years. We're back here with the rule again. Then it gets invalidated on Second Amendment grounds. That time it dies.
That makes my heart hurt to think about all of that.
Once, twice, 3 times. It's going to happen.
Yeah, no, it's possible, right? It's possible. On a less depressing note, what does this not mean for you, the individual consumer, if you are going to go buy a SIG arm brace, let's say today, go out and buy one, you will not reap the benefit of getting to return it. This is directed specifically at people buying these wholesale, at dealers, at retailers. So I suppose we are still living in the world in which I go buy one right now. I say, woohoo, don't need to worry about it. ATF comes in, reproposes that rule, final rule, and then we're litigating this all over again. I, the individual, am like back in the world where I'm like, am I a felon overnight again, right? Because I have this item that is now an SBR and I don't have a tax stamp for it. So the answer is you individuals are still left with potentially the same problem. It's just the retailers and wholesalers.
I'll end on a positive note.
Let's do that.
Consumers will now see braced pistols back in stores.
Yay!
Yeah.
Freedom!
Freedom. But we're interested to see what you folks have to say. We hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please question and comment for us below. Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys.